Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So what I have common with Rihanna? Basically nothing, except it seemed like a really cool thing to talk about. But I do actually have something, and I'm going to share this with you. So I love Rihanna. I've been listening to a lot of her music recently. And so last night as I put my kids to bed, they're kind of fighting bedtimes about 9 o'clock. And I had some work to do, actually. Ironically enough, it was loading up these podcasts, which you're listening to now a week later. And so as I'm getting this stuff together to send out, and I'm like, let's listen to a little bit of music, because what I'm basically doing is I have the podcast episodes that I record on my phone, usually when I'm driving in my car, because that's when I can fit this in to be able to create these messages for you and to really grow this movement. Man, there is, it is a juggling act: marriage, motherhood, business, health. But if you want something, you find a way to make it work. And so the way that I record these podcasts, it works for me. Plus, there's also something to me about like movement. So whether I'm walking or driving the car, I used to actually record these when we were lived in a different part of Victoria. We actually lived close to my son's school, and I walked my son to school. So I would record a podcast when I was walking back home from dropping him off, and it was great. But movement. So to me, driving's the same thing. I think well. I'm able to storytell well when I'm moving. That's just who I am. And that can be moving my body or actually moving driving the car. So last night I'm getting stuff ready, which is basically I've recorded the podcast. I'm dropping them to G drives from my man Evan. Thank you. Shout out to Evan, who listens to every episode and creates the beautiful show notes for you, which are on the website. And you're actually getting in the Friday recap. You're getting all of them all together at the end of the week of that. All the resources and links. So I get all the stuff together for Evan to put all together and to post and to do all the heavy lifting stuff for me. And I'm like, I'm just gonna put on a little bit of music. I don't normally listen to music because I just that's again another piece of me. I don't work well to that. I need to be really, really focused, and that can be a distraction. But because I'm creating the artwork and finding past episodes and stuff and getting it together for Evan, it's something that's, it's not a task I have to think a lot. I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this Rihanna album. It's the one that's called Auntie. I don't even know if it's the new one or old one. I have no fucking idea. I just know I like a lot of the music in it recently. I'm listening to it. So I go and I bring it up into Apple Music. And I also am reflecting on it because I went into the Women Wanting More page on iTunes. A lot of you listen to the podcast from your phone. I listen to podcasts on my phone all the time, or I Bluetooth it when I'm driving in the car. And so that's how I listen to my podcast. So you might realize and see that there are reviews on there, which, by the way, I would love. If you dig the podcast, please leave a 5-star review. I get a lot of hater reviews. A lot. And so I'm looking at, so when you go into iTunes, the iTunes you're seeing is specific to your country. So when I go into iTunes Canada, there's about 42 reviews. Not a lot of reviews. I don't really push it all that much. To me, it's more important is the content, but I also know the reviews are important because some people they'll find the podcast, they'll check out the reviews to see, is this something that they really want to listen to or not? And if all they see is hate, she does this, what are some of the things I've been called? I'm narcissistic, I'm an egomaniac, I'm a lunatic, I'm awful, I'm unprofessional. Like, you can go and read them. They're interesting. If this is one of the most recent ones. I would win the trophy if there was a competition or something like that for like the worst podcast ever. I would win the trophy. I'm like, yeah, I'm number one. And so I'm reflecting on that as I kind of like, and again, I don't place a lot of energy into that. It's not like, oh my God, people don't like it, I should change the message. I know that when you come out with a bold message, some people are gonna love you, some are gonna hate you, and some are just kind of, whatever. They don't really care, they're just kind of indifferent. Like, that's just simply the way it works. But I'm also a human being, and it still fucking hurts that people say shit about me that they have no fucking clue. They don't know me. They don't have any idea what this fucking takes. They don't know I fucking do this because I feel called to create this message. I don't have sponsors on this podcast. I don't get fucking paid to do this. This is all my money. This is all my time and my energy to create this. Because it's a calling. And they can attack me all they want, but I know what I'm supposed to be fucking doing. Very clear on that. But again, I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, so there was like 40-something reviews, and it was like 12 of them were 1-star reviews. So that's all the, like, you know, the egomaniac, the lunatic, narcissist, all that kind of shit, right? And then there's like 27 5-stars, there's a 4, there's a 3. You know, just kind of scrambling up there. But there's like a good quarter of them that are like, she sucks reviews, right? So, you know, I kind of looked at those, just kind of looked at the numbers. Again, I'm not over analyzing. It was like that's interesting. A quarter of my reviews are like 1-star reviews. I'm like, that might deter some people. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, well, nothing I can do about that except to ask those that love, as I'm asking you right now, since you listen to the podcast, like, go and leave a 5-star review, right? Like, leave your truth about it. Don't make shit up. But, you know, and if you don't like this podcast, then just don't listen. Like, this is the funny thing I found. I'm just gonna rant on a second about the reviews. This is the funniest thing I've found about reviews for stuff. It's like, for me, if I don't like something, I just turn the fucking channel. Maybe that's an outdated comment because we're in the land of streaming right now. But it's like, if I don't like something, I don't take energy to go and to like post about it. Like, I find that so insane. To kind of go, well, you don't like something, well, that's fine. You feel like someone's awful, okay. Now you're going to take more of your time to, maybe they think they're doing like a public service. They're like helping out women to avoid them getting trapped into listening to me, the narcissist, egomaniac, lunatic, right? Maybe they come from that space. So I'm looking at that, so I'm like, well, again, what am I going to do, right? So then I go, and I'm about to actually download the Rihanna album onto my desktop, and then I just happened to, again, glimpse at this, and it's like, I'm like, oh, she has a bunch of reviews of her album, of course, right? You can review an album, right? And then I looked at her stats, and so iTunes Canada, she only had like almost like 600, Rihanna, right? Like huge star, 630 reviews, and there was about maybe 150, 200 that were 1-star reviews. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So I'm looking through and I'm like, oh, I waited 3 years for this and this sucks and blah, 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 you know, all this kind of stuff, right? And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And not that I know, like, look at, again, I'm not going to fucking compare myself to Rihanna. Like, that's just insanity, right? Like, she is like brilliant. I fucking love her music. I love how she always pushes stuff. I know she's maybe not for everybody. I find her voice is so unique. It's different. She doesn't give a fuck. She is who she is. Like, that's the most thing. Even if I didn't like her music, I would respect her for being who she is and not being afraid to show up as who she is. Like, in the world of entertainment and even just how women are looked at, like, that takes huge fucking balls to show up as yourself, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, she gets all sorts of shit too. Like, thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder. So yeah, this is maybe the teeniest fraction of a thousandth, a small piece of me being like Rihanna, which was like, yeah, you know what? Hate's gonna happen when you show up as who you are. When you are not afraid to speak your truth, the truth. You don't have to be mean about it, right? You don't have to come across as, well, I have the path and I know the way, and listen, you listen to this and this is not for you, like, great. If you figure out another system for living life that works for you, like, great. And I don't mean that as a passive aggressive. I'm just like, fucking hats off. That's awesome. I'm like, pumped for you. But most of you listen to this podcast because you're like, man, I feel lost. I feel stuck. I don't know who the fuck I am. And here's this chick who's kind of, you know, speaking truth. Like, you know, there are a lot of people that I've been attracted to in my life, that I've connected to, that have come from that place. And like, this is who I am. You meet me in person, this is who I am. When women do either like talk to me on the phone, those that are applying for some of my live events or coaching programs, or actually meet me and go like, wow, you're just like you're on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, it's the same. This is not a fucking act. This is who I be. And when you show up this way, I need you to know this, sister. Like, there will be some people that will not like you. You cannot please everybody. And that's not even the purpose of life. And I even know there's some, too, that I like call out. I might send like a private message to, and I've pissed some women off it's not done it with the intention. It's strictly come from the voice of, and sometimes I'm pissed when people have not followed through with what they say they're going to do. Sure. And so, and there are times where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this person an experience right now. And there's a likelihood, I shouldn't say there's a likelihood, there's a chance that they're going to get triggered. I'd say more often than not, I have women that say like, you know what? And it's not, I don't do this for the purpose of being right. It's just kind of like, listen, you said you were going to do this. You didn't follow through. Like, you're lying. You're not following through. And there's something for you to see in this experience. And so just reflect on this and just know that, like, there's other areas of your life. Like, you can't compartmentalize your life. There's other areas of your life where you're also not following through. And that's for you to figure out and to see and for you to get something from this experience. And I know for some, when I've come at them from that space, it really triggers them. Like, I've gotten some hate back from that. I'm like, okay. And I respect it. I respect them standing up and saying, I don't like this. I'm like, awesome. Speak your truth, sister, right? But I follow from what I feel inside. It doesn't come from ego. It doesn't come from wanting to be right. It comes from at times knowing that people need to have an experience, and it also is a willingness to be the whipping girl, really. Because it's easy, right? It's easy to kind of go, oh, well, that Karen, a fucking bitch she is. The fuck does she think she is? That's easy, right? And I've gone that before with people. Maybe I am being a bitch. Maybe that person I'm talking about she's being a bitch, or he's being an asshole, or like whatever. I don't know. Those words gender specific? I think they are. Although if you call a man a little bitch, that's even like, that's the biggest diss, right? But I always, when I get triggered now by people, and I don't go, someone made me feel this way, or they did this thing to me, I'm like, I kind of step back and I go, you know what? Maybe there's something for me to see in this. Now, I don't take a look at like a hater thing and go like, oh my God, maybe what I should see is I should be changing the message, and maybe I should hold back a little bit. Maybe I should sugarcoat it. And it's like, fuck that. I did that for decades. That's a hell no. That's never going to be something you're going to hear me encouraging you to do on this podcast. Like, fuck that noise. You be who you are, and not everyone's going to like you, and that's just simply the way that it is. It's ludicrous to think that you need to change yourself or be lesser than who you are to make others happy, and then make yourself miserable in the process. Like, it's insanity to think that's any kind of a logical way to show up, live your life, all of that, right? Like, it's insane. So you will never see that from me, but there's certainly times. So like now where I'm like, why am I focusing on the podcast review stuff right now and all the hater ones? So now I know, like, well, there's something for me to see in this. What am I supposed to see? And then I discovered the thing with Rihanna. And then it reinforces, it makes me realize with this message that this is simply the way that it is. I have the experience of that because I know there's going to be people that you experience in your life that do not like you for who you are. And they're going to tell you. Now, they might actually have the balls and tell you to your face. Anybody can be that keyboard warrior and leave a fucking review on iTunes or come at you on a Facebook. I mean, that's fine. Right? Have nothing on the line. Judge the shit out of you, right? And have no idea what it takes to do something like create a podcast, which we're like toppled over 1.5 million downloads. My podcast downloads have doubled in the last 2 months. So I've gone from 60,000 to rolled as I record this right now. In February, we'll probably end up having like about 125,000 downloads. Maybe 130, 140. Like, to give you some context, my first podcast, Mom at 41, and that was considered like pretty good downloads. In a year, I did 70,000 in a year. So in the month of February, we'll have done about 125,000 downloads. I'm going to hit 2 million by probably about May of this year, May of 2018. Like, that takes some fucking time and work that people don't understand. You just see the end result of this stuff. They don't see the late nights. And they don't see the struggles. I talk about them openly here. But the bottom line is, sisters, people are going to judge you for how you show up and who you are in the decisions that you make. And I'm going to encourage you to do this. Don't ever make yourself more palatable to other people to be liked. when you reach out to me and you say, I don't remember who I am anymore, it's because you've done that. Because you've censored yourself for so long, fucking neutered yourself of who you are, that you've forgotten. And your job in life is to help to remember who you are again and to be that woman. That's it. Purpose of life right there. And to create value with what you are and who... Let me rephrase that. To create value with who you are and how you show up in the world. So here's your more tip for today. Where are you people-pleasing right now? Well, this isn't really a discussion of people-pleasing, but this is what's coming up to me right now. Where are you people-pleasing in your life right now? I want you to journal this experience and then do this. Email me at drkaren@drkarenosborn.com and let me know what's come up for you. Were you people-pleasing? This is the second piece of this. What is it costing you to try, because you can't make everybody happy. You know that, right? You can do all the things that would make everybody happy, and there's going to at least be some person that goes, I hate the color of your hair. And you're like, what? What the fuck? That shirt you wore, you suck. Like, okay. Who's the lunatic now? But all right. So what is it costing you to people please? Like, really, what is it costing you? Financially, emotionally, socially? Was it costing your marriage? Was it costing with your kids? What is it costing your health? What is it costing you to do that? So, sister, 2 things I want to share with you today. Number 1, I created an amazing course called the More Journal System. And this was really birthed out of so many of you that said, like, hey, thanks for the free journal, Karen, because I've sent it over 400 to about 20 countries now around the world. But, like, it's just sitting there like, what the fuck do I do with it? I'm like, what do you mean what do you do with it? You open it up and you write. Like, what's so hard about that? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, right, I've been journaling for 6 years. I've forgotten. And I've actually realized I created a system to journal. So every single time I do, I get results. I'm like, why have I not shared this? And because so many were reaching out saying, I don't know how to do this. Either have said, like, I don't know how to journal at all. Like, how do I do this? Some have said, like, I journal here and there, but I'm not consistent. And I just kind of feel like it's like a task for me. Like, I don't get anything out of it. And the third will say that, hey, I do journal every single day. Occasionally I get insights, but it's not really like, I don't really get the results I'm looking for. So I created the More Journal System for that. So there are just a handful that are left at pre-launch, and then the price is going up. So you might be listening to this several months from now. It's still going to be something you should get. But if you're hearing this when this episode launches, I want you right now to go to here, drkarenosborn.com/how-to-journal. Okay, if you're listening in the show notes, you can just click on the link and I'll bring you to it. And then the second piece of this is you need to subscribe to the newsletter, sister. Like, holy shit, you are missing out. I'm actually now created something really beautiful for you. Back to the story of how to remember who you are is 2 video trainings that I did inside a Facebook community I created called the Woman Wanting More Experience. And it was only for them for a couple of days. I took them down, but then I saved them because I went, these were really good. These were really good live trainings that I did. So you're going to get that when you opt into the newsletter and get VIP access. So I have some very exciting shit coming up. I can't share it just now. It's still under wraps. But when you are part of the Woman Wanting More newsletter and tribe, you get first access to all of this discounts, special promotions. So head over to drkarenosborn.com, drkarenosborn.com. Enter in your email, and I'll get you hooked up on that today. So I will talk to you next episode, sister. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.